It is NFL Week 11, and this is the Prop Shop, new show where I break it down with the prop master himself, WLIN. We're going to go and talk a little bit of PrizePicks. We're going to talk a little bit of sleeper and just general props that we love for NFL Week 11. We're going to track what we're doing. We'll give you the updates each week, and I think this is going to be a fun little format. So we're just getting started. But what's up, Will? Will, for those of you who don't know, Will is the prop master over at DFSARMY, crushing PrizePicks, crushing sleeper, and just props in general. How's it going, Will?
Yeah, it's going great. How are you doing, Kevin?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk a little bit of prop action and see what we can do with the Proptimizer to come up with some tickets. We're going to do, like I said, a little PrizePicks, a little sleeper. We just added sleeper. So I'll tell the people that if you're not signed up at sleeper for their sleeper is basically like a sports book. Like, I don't say it any other way. Their props are the same. There's no real differentiation. You got to play 2 or 3 legs, but everybody has a sleeper account already because you play fantasy football. So you can just jump on there. And if you wanted to check out what sleeper has going on, you could just use promo code DFSARMY and you get, they'll match your deposit. So you put in $100 in your sleeper account, code DFSARMY will double it down, and you can use the DFSARMY sleeper Proptimizer to come up with those tickets. But let's get right into it. Will, you've got a bunch of spots that you love for both sides, but let's start with PrizePicks first and take me through it.
Yeah, I think if you could pull up the PrizePicks site, the first play that I really like is if you go to Fantasy Score, and we're gonna take a look at Tony Pollard taking the more on his 15 projection here.
Love that.
Yeah, a major thing is actually Rico Dowdle just popped up questionable on the injury report during Saturday's practice, and that's really gonna just shove more work into Pollard's hands here. It's already a good spot for the Cowboys. They're favored to win this game. They should be able to control it pretty easily, and so hopefully that does mean Pollard does get a lot of work. Probably close to like 15, 16 carries. At this line, he doesn't even need a touchdown, I would say, to clear it because he is so involved in the passing game as well. So Dowdle, I think even if he does end up playing, he's probably playing hurt. But with a downgrade on a Saturday, the day before, I would guess that he's probably going to miss the game. And by then, Pollard's production, this is probably going to end up being maybe a few points too low.
Yeah, I might need to grab this before it moves. We already have DFSARMY hasn't projected for 16.8 fantasy points here without the Dowdle news. So, and he's one of my favorite running back plays of the week. So I like this one. Let's put him in our ticket, Will. And what else we have?
Yeah, the next one we're gonna go also the fantasy score. We're gonna stay here with Christian Kirk. His lines right now is at 12.5. We're also
Ooh.
going to be taking the more for him. The Titans, they sell out to stop the run. That's just gonna mean good or pretty much good matchups for all the receivers here. And Zay Jones, he is questionable, so he could return, but I would say because he's just been so hurt, he's gonna be limited even if he plays. And Christian Kirk just absolutely crushed it. So it's not like he's going to lose out on his role. It's gonna be there. And yeah, it's also another one where he does not need a touchdown to clear this. Each catch is a point here. It's full PPR scoring. So he could get, like 6 catches for 70 yards or something, and that gets him over this line.
We might hit this number in the first half. I like this a lot, Will. And again, I'm just going to compare it once again to the DFSARMY projection. And we've got him at 15.5. So a nice little margin there for Christian Kirk. He's one of my favorite DFS plays of the week. So yeah, great to translate that to a PrizePicks ticket. I like it.
And the third and final play from me on PrizePicks is going to be Brock Purdy for the more on 1.5 passing touchdowns. The So they're taking on Tampa Bay here, and Tampa is also a team that does want to stop the run, and I think they definitely are going to because they got CMC on the other side, so they're going to really try to stop him. And yeah, this line currently the odds are pretty solid as we're going to pull up here on our Proptimizer tool. But if we just think about it, Purdy, if the Bucks are gonna try to stop the run, then that's gonna mean probably more throws, probably likely more passing touchdowns. And I think he could definitely get the 2 here. He has all his weapons. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel is back, second week back from his injury. George Kittle, of course, a very good tight end option in the end zone too. So they just have a lot of weapons, and he can also just throw to CMC for a receiving touchdown. So that's another way that he can get it done.
That's how I think he gets there. Will, I like this spot because number one, if you look at the Proptimizer again, it is pointing to the over. You look at the sports books themselves, and yeah, Caesars has it minus 137 to the over. These other ones are here's PointsBet minus 145, minus 150 at BetMGM. What does that mean? That means that if you had to go and bet this on the sports book, you're paying a lot of juice for the over, and those are the best kind of spots on PrizePicks. That's why this one is popping. So I like it. I like that one as well. So are we doing a three play here?
It's definitely here at DFSARMY we don't like to play 3 picks.
I don't
but
like a 3 pick at all.
yeah, but there I actually did give out some other picks last night. If you guys do want to check out our channel here, that I did throw in some more picks so you could mix and match those to build out either a 5 pick, or can you just take out one of these? Maybe if you're watching the video, you're not a fan of one of these, you could just play a 2 pick with these guys.
There we go. I love it. All right, so Will, let's jump over to Sleeper, and I've got a few Sleeper plays picked out myself, and understand that Sleeper picks are effectively really no different than just a regular sportsbook pick in the sense that these props are the same. So let me just jump over to the Sleeper side here, and yeah, there we go. And go over a couple of plays here. But do you have? I'll give you one of mine here first. So right off the bat, going back to Brock Purdy, I like the under on passing yards for Brock Purdy. So I'm just gonna jump right back over to the Sleeper tool here. I gotta delete this one so I don't keep making that mistake. And if we look up Purdy total passing yards, we've got him projected for 218. He is currently sitting at under 258 yards. And, it's a pretty level play. That's how Sleeper is going to be. So we got to really work off of projection models. You can't look at like other sports books to drive Sleeper decisions for the most part if we're going to go away from fantasy points. And what I think is going to happen here is just a dominant game in general from San Francisco. So I don't think they're going to need to do much. I think they're going to dominate this game defensively. I don't think that Purdy is going to need to throw for 300 yards in this. So grabbing the under 258 yards for Purdy and sticking with that same theme for me, I'm going to go under 255 yards for Sam Howell. And again, I think this is a Brian Robinson Jr. game. I don't know if there's a Brian Robinson Jr. prop available on Sleeper where we could take an over. Actually, let's check that out as well, because I kind of like that correlation. So let me take a look here and see if I can find. No, there's nothing for Robinson here at all. Let me see here, actually. Player Robinson. No. So we don't have any props for Brian Robinson on Sleeper, but I like this under for. Let's get that out of here. I like this under for Brock Purdy. Under, where is it again? Yeah, under 258.5 passing yards.
Yeah, Brian Robinson, I think it's just his lines aren't really the best to play on Sleeper right now. That's not why it's showing up on our Proptimizer, but he does have some if people do think that is a Brian Robinson game this week with Antonio Gibson missing.
Yeah.
He has 61.5 rushing yard line. Receiving yard line is actually at 18.5, which is pretty high for a guy like Robinson, but he probably does take over some of those Gibson routes that he would have been running.
He's been catching passes. I mean, he had 6 targets last week. So, nothing wrong with Brian Robinson right there. Let me ask you this. So there are 2 Howl props available on Sleeper, and I actually want to throw this at you, Will. One is passing yards, under 255. The second one, though, is passing plus rushing yards combined at 272.2. Now, the reason I'm asking this one, I'm genuinely curious because here, let me make that a little bit larger. But I'm genuinely curious because, Howl is not a running quarterback, but more importantly, this isn't the kind of game where he's going to be under a lot of pressure. It's the Giants and Washington's at home. So what I was thinking was maybe it's even safer to play under 272.5 rushing and receiving yards rather than just under 255, with Howl really averaging under 15 yards per game rushing anyway. But I think a lot of those have been in competitive games. I'm not sure that this isn't a particularly competitive game. I don't think the Giants' pass rush is particularly good. He might not run at all.
I think the Giants, they do try to pressure, but it is just the game script. I don't think the Commanders are going to have to throw a ton. And so if he were to be under pressure, then sure, he might try to scramble more. But yeah, he's not a running quarterback. Because they can probably just ground and pound with Brian Robinson. You might actually even get lucky with like some late QB kneels that get him some negative rushing yards at the end. So I do kind of like that call of passing and rushing yards under the 272.5.
Yeah, I felt like it gave me a little more leeway. I'm going to just mention the other two that I've got picked out here. And again, all these plays are right off of the Proptimizer. I had to write them down, remember, show them on screen, and we're going to track these and see how they go. But one of them is Xavier Gibson, over 13.5 rushing yards. And again, this one is really just the funny thing is I picked it out from Gibson. I picked it out because I do the showdowns, and Gibson just has been getting a couple receptions each week. So I'm like, oh, all right, that's interesting. He's the WR3 for the Jets. They don't really, it's the Jets. They stink. I get it. It's Zach Wilson. He's terrible, but Gibson's been all right. He's not been terrible. And, the consensus odds have this at 13.5, which is fine. We're projecting him for 23.5, which is a reasonable number. And if we look at Gibson, his returns the last few weeks, 3 targets last week, 2 targets the week before. It's a thin play, so to speak, but ever since kind of Randall Cobb hasn't been in the picture for the Jets, this guy Gibson gets a couple 2-3 targets each week. He really only needs probably 2 receptions to get to 13. 1 or 2. Can do it in 1, but maybe 2.
Yeah, and the game script should also set him up well. I mean, they're playing Buffalo. Buffalo coming off of a loss. They're back at home, 7-point favorites. Zach Wilson should have to throw, and puts Gibson in a good spot.
Similar play to that is Bellinger over 15.5 yards. And it's basically the same thing with the Giants. Obviously, they're terrible at QB, beyond terrible. Like the worst. Basically, the Jets and Giants are competing for the worst quarterback that should ever have started a game in the NFL. Somehow they're starting multiple games. It's crazy. But Bellinger keeps getting targets. If you're a backup third string quarterback, a lot of times the guy you throw to is the tight end. He's standing right there. You see him. 3 targets last week, 3 targets the week before, 34 yards, 43 yards. Those are DeVito starts, WLIN.
Yeah.
You're making a face like I never would have thought of these guys. Yeah. Why are you playing these turds? Like I love the face that you're making. That's okay. You've got some spots for us as well.
I think it does look promising because with Waller out, Bellinger's been the tight end 1. It's also, like you said, the setup for him, basically playing as an underdog. They should be chasing it. Puts these guys in a good spot.
I also like the backup quarterback throwing to the tight end. Like that's who they're focused on because he's standing right there. The backup QB doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's a mess. His head is seeing crazy numbers and people are running at him. It's scary out there. And he's just like, oh, there's a big dude. Let me throw it to him. It's really, I'm kidding, but it's really just an easy pattern. Like the tight end is not running a complex pattern. He's like, is he open? Boom, throw it to him. Easy completion. So you just see backup QBs go to the tight end more frequently than anybody else. So give me a couple spots you're looking at on Sleeper / the Sportsbook.
Yeah, we're actually going to be taking a look at some more fantasy scores over here on Sleeper. And we're gonna go back to that Niners and Bucks game, but we're gonna go to the Bucks side with Rashad White. His fantasy score line is sitting at 14.8. And if we do compare to PrizePicks, because they are the same scoring system, full point PPR. They have it at 13.5, and so we're getting an extra 1.3 here. And this is just a tough spot for Rashad White. Already as a player, he's not the most efficient running back, but he does catch passes. However, these Niners, this is a good defense. They actually acquired some players at the deadline too, so this is a better defense than before. And they are, I mean, I don't know how they are actually 12-point underdogs on the road, which is a big negative for running backs just because they're gonna have to White has to get it through the air basically this game probably. At this line, he probably needs a touchdown too. Even if he gets a touchdown, he might not even hit this line because it's just too high.
Give me what is the line? What is the
It's
line?
at 14.8.
Yeah. Under 14.8 fantasy score. So I'll just give you two pieces of backup here. First, we're projecting him at 13. And I think that's an inflated projection. If you take a look at the power rankings sheet we have for this week, Tampa Bay is projecting for 59 rushing yards in this game. So that is not a good scene for any running back in general. So White will have to get there via the pass. And I agree with you. I think that's a great under this week. Love it. Let me go to our sheet. Put that in there. All right.
The final one on here on Sleeper, it's another fantasy score. We're gonna go to Elijah Moore, and this will be another under, and his line is at 7.6 fantasy points. This game it's probably the ugliest, maybe possibly lowest scoring game of the week with Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett versus DTR. I think we're gonna just see a very run heavy game here, and even if they do throw, Amari Cooper's there, David Njoku's been great, and so Moore is really kind of the third option. And when you do talk about a rookie running back, they tend to, of course, as Kevin mentioned, they target tight ends. So that's Njoku, and also the running backs, Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford. They're two capable pass catchers. So Moore, I don't think he's going to see a lot of targets, and that means he's not going to see a whole lot of receptions either. So this line probably also a guy that just needs to hit like a crazy long catch, which I think the odds are pretty low here against a strong Pittsburgh front line.
I love that play. For some reason, Deshaun Watson really was obsessed with Elijah Moore and just throwing him these little short passes. But it's just less likely that a running quarterback like DTR doesn't throw those type of outlet passes. He just runs the football. We see it in checkdowns to the running back. When you put in Anthony Richardson, all of a sudden the running back does not catch a pass. You're like, why? The same thing happens with Jalen Hurts. The reason why is because when Matt Stafford is stuck and he's like, I can't move, I got to throw it to the running back, a DTR is like, no, I'm going to take off. So that limits those types of passes to the short out guy. I love the play on the under for Eli Moore there. Really sharp stuff, Will. Anything else for Sleeper this week?
No, that is it. If I do have more, then those will be posted, of course, in our DFSARMY Discord that we got. If you're a member, then you're gonna get all of those, of course. But if you're not, do check us out. Links are in the description below. Check out our DFSARMY.com website. Yeah, just got a lot of great stuff here. Added the sleeper optimizer, so just bigger and better things to come.
You're too humble. Will's in the DFSARMY Discord, dropping sleeper tickets and PrizePicks tickets day and night. It is a nonstop affair. All sharp plays, all plus EV, all profitable, using the Proptimizer tool and whatever else we have going on. So if you guys want to check that out, and you're like, hey, if you're not a DFSARMY subscriber, for example, but you like the props games, what you could do is get 2 free months of DFSARMY prop subscription just by signing up and making your deposit at Sleeper, promo code DFSARMY, $100 deposit match. Let us know. Send us a screenshot. Say, hey, I signed up at Sleeper to support DFSARMY, and you will get 2 months of our Proptimizer subscription and our Discord, which includes WLIN dropping tickets and Sniper. all that stuff. Every day we got it going on, NBA and all the different sports. So make sure to check that out. Again, going back to the spreadsheet for this week, we've got, we've got this, let me put this on screen, but we've got beautiful ticket on PrizePicks, Pollard, Kirk, and Purdy, all overs. And for some of the props for the week, you've got Purdy under on passing yards, Howl under on passing yards, or passing plus rushing yards, however you want to do it. Gibson and Bellinger over receiving yards, and White and Moore on sleeper under fantasy score. Good luck in NFL Week 11, guys. This is the Prop Shop. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.